Hello, everyone. I'm very happy to have you here back in another mini COMMUN-ART session, this time with a very interesting topic. Well, I think that all topics are interesting, or we can make them interesting and worth watching. My name is Marcela Grobet, neuro-language coach, and also mediator for the development of language through art. Topic today, non-verbal communication. So how do we communicate without words? That's what we are going to explore today. Or what do our bodies express without using any words? What's the intention? Exactly to reflect about nonverbal communication as we analyze a painting by Canadian painter Robert Harris, a very interesting painting that gives us many opportunities to express body posture, gestures, facial expressions, and many other things. We're going to start with an activity to relax and concentrate in the session, as I like to do, so that you can leave behind anything, any worries that you carry with you in this moment, and that you can really concentrate on the here, on the now, watching this session, and also to forget about, I don't know, your pendings, what you're going to do tomorrow or in a few hours or whatever, all right? So if you have decided to watch this video in this moment, this exercise will help you to concentrate, to relax and to concentrate. Then we're going to analyze a painting and watch a short video, of course, related with the painting, to explore the different postures, the different body language that this painting presents to us. After that, we're going to play a little game called How Does It Make You Feel? And reflect what non-verbal communication is, and then end up the session with a final reflection with a quote. Okay, so are we ready to start? Let's begin with this relaxing exercise. It's called the COMMUN technique to relax. This technique is frequently used with children because it brings us imagination. It uses imagination in order to relax. You can also use imagination, okay? Not because you are an adult. It means that you can no longer imagine different things that will help you for different activities, in this case, to relax. So what are we going to do? The first one is called the lazy cat. Okay, so we're going to stretch our backs. How are we going to do it? Imagine, if you have seen or if you haven't seen, imagine a cat that is stretching after it has been sleeping, taking a nap. What do? They stretch first forward, okay, and curve the spine all the way, like taking their belly out. Now, little by little, start raising your hands, and with careful, you are going to curve your spine out, putting your belly in, stretch, and then little by little again, go up, hands up, stretch, and feel how all your back, all the muscles in your back stretch, and your spine also stretches. All right. Let's get the arms down little by little. And you can move a little bit to accommodate every muscle, every bone, every part of your body. It feels nice. The next exercise has to do with moving our facial muscles. How are we going to do it? Okay, picture, imagine you have a fly on your nose, a fly that is bugging you, but for some reason you cannot use your hands. Maybe you're holding, I don't know, 2 cups of coffee, and there's a nose on your fly on your nose. So you have to try to let it out using only the movements of your face. So wiggle your nose, wiggle your mouth. Oh, it doesn't want to go out. Move a little bit more. Okay, it's gone. It's exercise for the muscles of your face, which we very often deny, but it's important to have some exercise also. Okay, next one is specifically for the jaws, for the mouth, for this part of the face, and it's called the jaw breaker. Maybe you have heard of this chewing gum. It is, or it was, I think you can also find them. You can still find them. It is a round piece of chewing gum covered with sugar, very colorful, and children especially like to put them in their mouth all the way and then chewing it until it becomes I don't know, a chewable size. Okay, so imagine that you have this big jaw breaker chewing gum, you put it inside your mouth, and now start biting, well, chewing it with your big movements. Okay, don't swallow it, okay? Just take it away. This is a very good exercise if you're going to have a video call or give a conference or something to warm up the muscles of your mouth and so that you can speak better. Let's go for the final exercise. This one is called the turtle. Imagine a turtle, or if you have seen one or seen, I don't know, videos where they show turtles, when they are frightened, what do? They put their head inside the shell. So we're going to do that, raising the shoulders all the way up, trying to hide the head inside our bodies. Yeah, it hurts a little bit. Try to stay there for a while. All right, the danger's gone. Shoulders down, head up again, and you can move and relax your shoulders a bit. Some breathings, it's good. And let's begin the real part of the session. Now, the painting that I'm going to show to you was painted by a Canadian painter called Robert Harris. He was born in Wales in the United Kingdom in 1849, and he died in Canada, in Montreal, in 1919. When he was a little boy, he and his family moved from Wales to Canada, to a place, well, an island called Prince Edward Island. The main city in this island is, or was, Charlottetown. Prince Edward Island is a very small island on the eastern coast of Canada. You can see on the map over there, that little red circle. Well, that's Prince Edward Island. When he was a child, his mother discovered that Robert had skills for drawing. So she encouraged him to go into painting. And he started studying human anatomy and proportion. And well, the painting that we're going to see, together with another one called The Fathers of Confederation, established his reputation as one of the most distinguished portrait painters in Canada. So this is the artist. Let's now explore the image. Now, I'm sharing with you this painting, a meeting of the school trustees by Robert Harris, full screen so that you can see it better. What do we have? First of all, I would like to ask you, what are school trustees? Well, the school trustees are the group of people who manage the situations at the school. They may be the owners if it's a private school, or if it's a public school, it's just a group of citizens who take control of the administration or the rules and regulations in a school. In this case, it's a public school in Prince Edward Island, and these trustees are meeting to discuss some things with the teacher. I suppose that you can all notice that the teacher is the one standing up. Okay, so this is a classroom. How do we know that it's a classroom? Because we can see some desks, and we can also see a slate. A slate is like a mini blackboard that students in that time used instead of notebooks. They wrote, they made their calculations, they took the dictation or whatever activity on these black slates. You can see also that there are some bottles of ink and some documents or papers over here. And I would like you to observe the posture, the gestures, the looks, the hands that each one of the characters in this painting is showing. Would you like to start with a teacher? All right, let's start with a teacher. Okay, so she's standing, and apparently she's the one doing the talking. Maybe she's trying to justify something. Maybe she made a mistake. What's the story behind this conversation? What can you feel from her posture? You can see that she has an open posture, and even she has an open hand, like she's trying to explain something to the trustees. The other hand, well, is leaning on the desk for support. And if you can notice also, she's leaning forward. She's not straight, she's leaning forward to present something for the trustees. What might she be presenting? Or why? What's the reason you think that the trustees wanted to speak with this teacher? Let's consider the time. We're talking of 1885, okay? Let's talk of the women's situation in that time. Were they able to study? If they could they be doctors or engineers or architects or lawyers, as we women can be nowadays? Usually at that time, if a woman studied, it was because she would become a teacher. Otherwise, they would just marry and have children, have their family, raise their families. The school trustees are all men. At that time, yes, of course, men had greater power than what they have now. So she's trying to convince them of something, perhaps. How old is the teacher? In her 20s? Or younger, perhaps? And how old are the school trustees? Are they young men? They don't look so young. So maybe they have old ideas. But let's continue exploring the body language. We're going clockwise, okay, from the man on the left of the screen to the man on the right of the screen. So this first man, what does his posture, his look, his face, his facial expression tell you? He's also leaning forward with his head a little bit twisted. So I suppose that he's paying attention to what the teacher is saying. He's looking at her. He looks attentive. He looks interested in what the teacher is explaining. Perhaps she is open-minded. Perhaps he wants to hear, he wants to understand, and he is flexible. He would like to change his mind, maybe. But he has an open posture to listening and to trying to understand what is going on in the school. What about the red-bearded man, the red-bearded man? What's his body posture? Is he leaning forward or is he leaning backward? He's leaning backward. His back is against the wall. And what can you say about his arms? Let me adjust the camera a little bit. His arms are crossed. And what does this mean? How do you feel when a person, well, when you're talking to a person and the person has his arms crossed? This is a closed position. This red-haired man is leaning backward. His face doesn't look so friendly. He's serious. And he has his arms crossed. Do you think that he is receptive towards the teacher's message? Perhaps not very much, right? Perhaps he's skeptical. He doesn't like what the teacher is saying. Now, let's go to the third man. Okay, he's looking at the teacher. He's looking at the teacher. He has his fist on the table, and the fist, his hand is closed, not open like the teacher's hand, but closed. What might he be thinking? What might be his reception towards the teacher's message? Well, this is just a painting, so we cannot see the movement. Maybe he was fidgeting on the table. Maybe he's nervous about something. But the closed fist might show that he's angry, that he's closed also. He's not being quite receptive. He doesn't really like what he's listening to. Perhaps he feels threatened. What's your perception? I would like you to tell me what you feel. How do you feel about this? And what perception you get. Now, let's go for the fourth man. What's his posture? What's his attitude? What's his body language telling us? Okay, he's sitting straight. His legs are open. That's an open position. So I may suppose that he's being open to what the teacher is saying. All right, his hand is not fully closed like the other person. He's just leaning on his lap, okay? Like a little bit closed, maybe for comfort, but it's not closed. It's halfway open. We cannot see his face very much. We can only see that he's listening to the teacher, that he's watching her. He might be a little bit more receptive about what the teacher is saying. So even though we cannot listen to any words and we don't know exactly what the conversation was in that moment, we can figure out with the body language how each of the characters in this painting felt in that moment. If we take a photo or we observe a photo of a friend or family, a family gathering, we can also observe in this photo how the people were or are feeling in that moment because of the way they look at things or they look at people or the posture they have, if they are with hands and arms crossed or legs crossed, or if they're bored, etc. So the body speaks. Sometimes we want to hide away and we want to erase any, expressions from our faces, and we don't want to show anything. But the truth is that our face, our body posture is always expressing something. Some people are more receptive to this, okay? Some people cannot really see what is going on or cannot really catch what the person is expressing. Other people are more empathetic towards this. And maybe it has happened to you that you just say hello to somebody, you see their face, and you know if the person is happy or sad or angry or worried, stressed, or something is happening to them. You have felt, I'm very sure, when you're having a conversation with your boss, with your friend, with your father, with your child, if this person is expressing something, well, they are always expressing something. What are they expressing? Are they being receptive or not?
Children.
You must understand, young woman, that you work for us and not the other way round.
But you would like to tell me how I must go about teaching the children to read.
I've told you what it is we want you to do, and that's enough.
Please, Mr. Clarence, would you take a look at this?
You'll not bother me with that.
But you see, sir, your son read this today. It is quite a difficult passage. It is from the Bible. This is what I use to teach him to read.
Ah, Mr. Clarence, why don't you just read it then?
both of you know I cannot read a word.
Throughout most of our history, millions of Canadians have owed their education to young women who taught in one-room schoolhouses, much like this one.
All right. So what was the situation? What was happening at that moment? We heard on the video that the teacher was presenting like new methodologies to teach the children to read and write. Let's consider the time. It's an island. Basically, what they live out is from planting or from farms or raising animals. So was that important? Was it important to read and write? That's the situation. Especially the man who has the fist closed doesn't think that reading and writing is fundamental. He is complaining with a teacher that why is she teaching their children to read and write when she should be teaching them farming stuff or stuff like that. And of course, well, at that time, most people in that region were Protestants. And the teacher is saying, well, but look what your child can do. He's learning to read and write from the Bible, and he read a very difficult passage. So she hands in the paper. But what's the problem with this man? Can you understand now what kind of look he has, what he's expressing in his look? How does he feel? When the other man, his friend, most surely says, well, take a look at it. And then he must confess, well, you know, I can't read and write. So he's ashamed. And that's why he closes his fist. I can't read. You know, I can't read. So the teacher is trying to present something new, to give something new for the students. The world is evolving, of course, and not everything will be farming. Maybe some children will go to schools, to universities in Canada. And so they are discussing about these new reforms that the teacher is trying to implement. Perhaps you have seen a TV series called Anne with an E. If you haven't, I strongly suggest you watch it. It's on Netflix. It's a very interesting TV series, and it is precisely located in Prince Edward Island in Canada. And you can see how life was over there at that moment in time. Okay, so let's move on and explore a little bit of what non-verbal communication is. Just a question, guess. How much of communication is non-verbal? Some people consider 50%, other people consider even higher, like 80, 70, 80% of communication is non-verbal. So it doesn't matter how many words we say. What matters is how we say them and what body language we have when we express whatever we are expressing. So how does nonverbal communication affect the message we're trying to give or we're trying to receive? It wouldn't be the same thing if I showed a friendly face than if I showed an angry face. It wouldn't be the same saying the same words if I am leaning backwards in this position or if I lean forward and trying to reach you, if I am arms crossed, or if I am hands open. So nonverbal communication affects the message that we're trying to give or we're trying to receive. And what do you understand by these words? Eye contact? I think it's very clear, isn't it? Okay, so when somebody's talking to us, it's very important that we make eye contact, not looking down and even with a face a little bit leaned down. It's important to make eye contact. Modulation and intonation. That's also fundamental when we are trying to give a message. People who tend to speak in a very flat voice and don't change any intonation or anything, try to be, well, they are being very boring and we get bored and we don't get the message across. So modulation and intonation means that sometimes you will raise the volume of your voice and sometimes even you will whisper, all right? Because also when you whisper, you raise the attention of the person. Like there is something important I want to tell you. Mm-hmm. Gestures. What are gestures and what is posture? So gestures are the way we use our hands, the way we look at people, the facial expressions, the touch. We can show anger or happiness or stress. The way we touch ourselves, if we are holding hands, the way we're holding hands, but also the way we touch other people. Nonverbal communication is the transmission of messages or signals other than the words themselves. When you say hi to somebody, do they give you a strong hold of hands, or is it weak? This conveys different meanings. When you approach somebody, how do you feel when they rub your shoulder or your arm? Or how do you feel when they are too near? Or, I mean, we can have different feelings. I'm not saying that anything is incorrect. I'm saying just to explore yourself. How do you feel when you say hello to somebody and it is a strong hold or it's a weak hold? How do you feel when somebody touches your shoulder or your arm? How do you feel when somebody comes very near you? Okay, so posture and movements are also important. If you are too near a person, how do you feel about that? If they whisper to your ear, if they lean forward, if they lean backward, the voice, as I mentioned, and the hand gestures. Now, we gotta be very careful with hand gestures, especially when we have communication with people from other cultures. Hand gestures and postures and movements, facial expressions, they convey different meanings according to the culture. That's why I'm saying that there's nothing wrong or nothing right with different nonverbal language. What I'm saying is that nonverbal language is very relevant to the message that we want to give. Yes? So we're going to play a game, sort of a game, okay, because I know that you are on YouTube only watching, but this is going to be a game for you to reflect on how you feel towards certain nonverbal communication. So it's a wheel, and the question is, how does it make you feel? If you want to share on comments, I would be very glad to read your comments. There's nothing wrong, there's nothing right, there's just the feelings that we get. So how does it make you feel when you receive a written message with capital letters only? Is it okay for you? Some people mention that they make them feel like as if the other person is yelling at them, raising their voice. Sometimes it's important to use capital letters because we want to highlight a piece of information. But if all the message is written with capital letters, some people mention that is as if they were yelling at me. I'm going to be very brief on my comments, but I would like you to share with me how you feel. How do you feel about a person who is fidgeting? What is fidgeting? These very short movements that we sometimes make, like doing this on a table. This is fidgeting. Or you can also do it with your feet, like you're sitting and your feet is going like this. And also fidgeting would be like playing with a pen when the people go like this. How does it make you feel? Maybe you are the one fidgeting. Why do you fidget? Maybe you have an excess of energy and you need to be doing something, or maybe this helps you concentrate. But perhaps for the other person, the noise might be uncomfortable. How about you? How does it make you feel when you are in front of a person who is leaned backward with hands behind the head? Imagine that you go into the boss's office or the principal's office if you're a student, or you want to speak to the teacher and the teacher has this position. Yes, tell me. How do you feel about it? Usually what people comment, psychologists, is that that position means I reject you. I don't want to listen to you. I don't care what you want to say. And I'm in a hurry, so okay, yes. Say whatever you want to say and then leave the room. My suggestion, if you are in a managerial position and somebody of some employee of yours, or if you're a teacher and a student approaches you, please don't use this posture when you're listening to them, because really it makes the other person feels uncomfortable. It's, I don't care what you have to say. Hurry up. All right. Well, let's eliminate it and spin again. What's the next question? How does it make you feel? A person who moves around too much. Perhaps you have had these teachers who like to be moving around the classroom from one side to the other, or one speaker in a conference who likes to be walking from one side to another, or between the desks, moving here and there, moving around all the time. How does it make you feel? This is personal. Some people have commented in my COMMUN-ART sessions that they feel interested. It's like they feel the teacher coming next or nearer them, and not only the teacher in front without moving, that it helps them to concentrate when the teacher is moving around. Other people comment that this fact distracts them from what they are receiving, from the lesson they are receiving, because they want to follow the teacher. So they are going back. The sight is going back and forth, and the other road, and then forth, and then to one side, and then to other side, and it might be distracting, and even it causes them to get dizzy. How about you? How do you feel about it? Let's go for next one. How does it make you feel? A person who is watching their watch, their phone, or other device. You want to tell them something, and they're watching their watch. Or they're watching television, TV, even with their remote. They're watching TV, and you are trying to tell them something, and they're just going like, ahem, ahem, ahem. And of course, nowadays, with the use of mobiles, you want to tell them something, and they're just watching at the mobile or cell phone screen. How does it make you feel? Does that make you feel comfortable? Do you feel like the person is listening to you, paying attention to you? Comment. How does it make you feel? A person who changes intonation and rhythm when speaking. They raise the volume, lower the volume. They somehow sing a little bit when they're conveying the message. They're trying to be interesting in whatever topic they're talking about. How does it make you feel? Does it catch your attention? For me, it's more interesting, definitely, to hear somebody who is changing intonation than somebody who's just speaking all the time with the same voice. Next to last, how does it make you feel? A person who's looking at you while you speak. Instead of looking at their cell phone or looking at their watch or looking at the television, they are looking at you. They are, well, their eyes are with you. Personally, I feel that the person is paying attention. Okay, I know, maybe not. Maybe they are pretending to listen to you and they are watching you, but the truth is that their mind is somewhere else. Yes. As I mentioned, some people try to find a way to hide or are very well trained to make you believe that they're listening to you. But at least you feel like they are paying attention to you. And the last one, okay, just to read it correctly. How does it make you feel? A person with arms and hands in an open position. Okay, a person who's standing and their feet or their legs are separated, or is sitting and their legs are a bit separated, and maybe their hands are leaning on their laps, but with an open position and not with a closed position. We already mentioned this, but just to make you reflect, how does it make you feel? Person with an open position, hands and legs open. So we have explored here a little bit about these this body language, nonverbal communication. I hope that it helps you reflect more than anything your body communication, and it makes you reflect on why or what's the reason that you feel in a certain way when you speak with a certain person. And well, let's just finish today's session by reflecting upon a quote by Abraham Maslow. Abraham Maslow was an American psychologist, and he is most famous for his pyramid of basic human needs. you can find lots of information about Abraham Maslow and this hierarchy of human needs. But here's the quote that I want to present to you. He says, behavior in the human being is sometimes a defense, a way of concealing motives and thoughts, as language can be a way of hiding your thoughts and preventing communication. Okay, so the way we behave might be a defense because we might be afraid of something. We want to conceal or hide the reasons, our thoughts, and we think of our words very much, and using the words or presenting a certain behavior, we prevent communication. But just always remember that the body talks. We might be trying to hide something, but the body talks. See you next one. Hope you enjoyed this one. And remember that there are several, if this is the first one you watch, there are several mini COMMUN-ART sessions that you can watch here on YouTube. And if you would like to join the real COMMUN-ART sessions live by Zoom, please let me know. And I will give you all the information that you need. All right? Always try and be happy.